Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Heather Abbott, and I am blessed and honored to be here this morning for our meditation to set the container for our service today. We are a small, mighty group here at the lovely Four Points at Sheraton, and I am grateful for all of you that are joining us online as well. Our theme this month is on work, and Dusty's quote today that she pulled up is a reflective thought on who we are in our lives, what our life reflects as pertaining to our vocation. So, not so much thinking about what it is that you can offer to the world as far as the work that you do, but who you are and what that offers to the world. And as I was looking into the gentleman whose name escapes me right now, I came across this poem by May Sarton that I would like to read. And then I will ask a few reflective questions to take you into meditation. The name of the poem is Now I Become Myself, and it is by May Sarton. Now I become myself. It's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other faces, run madly as if time were there, terribly old, crying a warning. Hurry. You will be dead before what? Before you reach the morning? Or the end of the poem is clear? How to stand still, to be here. Feel my own weight and destiny. The black shadow on the paper is my hand, the shadow of a word. As thought shapes the shaper, falls heavy on the page is heard. All fuses now falls into place, from wish to action, word to silence. My work, my love, my time, my face. Gathered into one intense gesture of growing like a plant. As slowly as the ripening fruit, fertile, detached, and always spent, falls but does not exhaust the root. So all the poem is, can give, grows in me to become the song, made so and rooted by love. Now there is time, and time is young. Oh, in this single hour I live, all of myself and do not move. I, the pursued, who madly ran, stand still, and stop the sun. Now I Become Myself by May Sarton. So now I invite you to turn within, letting go the busyness of the morning, as I invite myself to do the same. We will have some meditation music, and we will have about 8 minutes of meditation, and I'll bring you back in. I now invite you to bring yourselves back into your bodies, back into the rooms that you're in. Thank you for turning within for this period of time. And I just invite you throughout this week to take those moments to be quiet, to listen to your soul's calling, and to question what it is that is innate within you that is yearning to show up in your life, to become the vocation of your life. Our service will start at 10:15, and we will see you there. Thank you.
Pointsman Sheridan, or you've invited us into your own homes, we are very glad that you are with us today. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Dusty Rippelmeyer, and I have the honor and the privilege of being this community's spiritual director. We are part of a larger organization called Centers for Spiritual Living, and at Centers for Spiritual Living, we believe in one power and presence. One power and presence that is within us and surrounding us, a power and presence that is the energy of creativity. That energy of creativity created everything that there is, seen and unseen. We were created in its image and likeness, and because of that, we too are creative. And in fact, whether we're aware of it or not, we are always creating the experiences of our lives through our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs and our actions. So for me, that's the really good news. If you don't like the experience of life that you are experiencing in the moment, you can change it. Change your thinking, change your life. And we come together on Sundays and Wednesday evenings online and for classes and social events to support each other on this spiritual path. So once again, we're very glad that you have joined us today. Today we're going to begin with a little bit of humor. So I think it's probably a good thing to be a little bit humorous about this idea called work. And since we're talking about it for a whole month, I thought maybe we should interject a little bit of humor. Now, this story comes from an author whose name is Matt Kahn, and he wrote a book called The Universe Always Has a Plan. He says, when I grew up in kindergarten, we were asked to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up. I hadn't thought about it very much, so I just drew the very first thing that came into my mind. Apparently, it was so distressing to my teacher that my parents were called in for a meeting. When they arrived, my teacher showed my parents the pictures that the other kids had drawn, a fireman, an astronaut, even the president. And then she pointed to my picture and asked, "What do you make of this?" So I was called in from recess, and standing before my teacher and my parents, I said, when I grow up, I want to be the garbage man. Why the garbage man, they asked. Without even missing a beat, I just looked at them and said, because they only work on Friday. My teacher and parents were doing their very best to hold back very similar endearing laughter as my mom informed me, "No, Matthew, they only work on Fridays on our street." I thought about it for a moment and then said, "Well, forget it then. I'll find some other kind of work." Today's flower dedication is actually a trio of flower dedications, and the first is in honor of all of the community members, the first responders, and the members of the armed forces that lost their life on September 11th, 2001. It is also in honor of all of the friends and the family members who experienced loss on that day and continue to grieve in their own individualized way. And is also in honor of a nation who was forever changed by the events that unfolded on that day and the weeks and months and years that followed. John Kerry says, "Remember the hours after September 11th when we came together as one. It was the worst day we have ever seen, but it brought out the best in all of us. Thank you for your service and for your sacrifice. Rest in peace." The second of today's flower dedications is dedicated to Queen Elizabeth, who made her transition yesterday at the age of 96. On her 21st birthday in 1947, Princess Elizabeth went on the radio and made a promise to Britain and its Commonwealth nations. She pledged that my whole life, whether it be short or long, will be devoted to your service. Over her very long life, Queen Elizabeth II fulfilled that vow. Serving 70 years, she was the longest reigning monarch that Britain has ever known. through 15 prime ministers, from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss, through Britain's post-war deprivations, crippling labor unrest, and Brexit, through the very messy divorces, the embarrassments, and the scandals of her family, she endured through it all, a reassuring anchor in a fast-changing world. While every newspaper, online news service, magazine, and TV commentary and others have so many things to say about her, I heard a story that showed me a different side of Queen Elizabeth that I want to share today. So the story is called What Queen Elizabeth Said When She Was Asked If She Had Ever Met the Queen. The story is recounted by a former Royal Protection Officer whose name is Richard Griffin, who goes by the name Dick. Apparently, the monarch was out in the hills near her Scottish castle of Balmoral when two U.S. tourists were on a walking holiday, approached them and engaged her in a conversation. The hiker asked the Queen where she lived, and she replied that she lived in London, but that she did have a holiday home just over the hill and had been visiting the area for more than 80 years since she was a little girl. She did not say that she was referring to Balmoral. Aware that the castle was in the vicinity, the hiker asked them if she had ever met the Queen. Quick as a flash, she said, "I haven't, but Dick meets with her regularly." The hiker then asked Griffin what the monarch was like in person. Now, you have to remember that they had been together for many, many years, and so he knew that he was able to tease her, pull her leg a little bit. So he said, "Oh, she can be very cantankerous at times, but she's got a lovely sense of humor." Delighted, then the hiker put his arm around Griffith's shoulder and asked if he could have a picture of the two of them together. Now, get this. Before I could see what was happening, he gets his camera and gives it to the Queen and says, "Can you take a picture of us?" The Queen obliged. And then Griffith took the camera and took a picture of her with the pair of the hikers. Later, Griffin said that the Queen told him, "I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he shows those photographs to friends in America, and hopefully someone will tell him who I am." Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. And lastly, these flowers are dedicated to all of the grandparents in our community and on the planet. For all that you are and all that you do, we are grateful. Happy Grandparents' Day. Speaking of gratitude, thank you so very much to the lovely Heather Abbott for her beautiful meditation that enlarged the container that our service will unfold within. And speaking of Heather Abbott, please welcome her back to the pulpit.
Thank you, Dusty. Good morning. The theme for the year 2022 is Living Everyday Wonder. Our theme for the month of September is Work. Reverend Dusty's talk title is Creating a Life That Matters. I'm now going to read this community's purpose statement. This is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice the truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. I now invite you to close your outer eyes and turn within. Open your heart and mind and allow these healing sounds of the crystal bowls to simply wash over you. Now, if you would bring your attention back into your bodies, back into your room. It is my honor to do our Blessing of All Faith ceremonies. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths as represented by this ceremony. Please welcome Carol Cross and Madison Shook, who will be assisting us this morning. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. Thank you both. I now invite you to turn within again as I speak a word of blessing on today's service. Sinking into this ever-present now moment, recognizing the one source, the one spirit, back of all of creation. Knowing that source as all that is, the thing itself, that which fuels us, funds us, sustains us in every conceivable way. I know that source as love, as peace and joy. I know that it is everywhere, all of the time. There is no place that it is not. I know that the truth as the truth of spirit, as I know that as the truth of myself. That right where I am, spirit is. That I am living this life, this human incarnation, as the truth of a spiritual being. That there is no separation between my physical incarnation, the truth of my spiritual being, and the truth of spirit itself. I know that as the truth of me, as I know that as the truth of each of those listening today, for each sentient being on the planet Earth, that we are all connected by that golden thread, always held, always guided, always listened to and spoken to. And from that place of unity, I speak a word of blessing on today's service, knowing that it unfolds in perfection. I speak a word of blessing on Reverend Dusty as she comes forward to share the message that she has for us today. Knowing that her leadership of this community blesses us all, and that this message that we hear with open hearts and open minds allows us to embrace a little bit more growth in our spiritual journey. I bless our volunteers, John and Diane Carnes, for their service to this community. I bless Miles and Letha as they come forth to gladden our hearts with their beautiful music. And I bless Ava as she handles the AV duties, allowing us to be heard and seen online in this moment and in the future. And I bless each of you as our community. We wouldn't be here without you, and we love each of you. We recognize your support of this center, your support of each of us, and we hold you so dear in our hearts and in our prayers. I'm so grateful to know the truths that are self-evident in each of our lives, that we are spiritual beings, that we are God incarnate, that there is no disconnect. I let loose this prayer into law, knowing that it is clothed and manifested as spoken, and I ask each of you to anchor this for yourselves and for each other with our words, and so it is. The reading for today is from Parker Palmer. He says, "Before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. Before you tell your life what truths and values you have decided to live up to, let your life tell you what truths you embody, what values you represent." And now I would love to welcome Miles and Letha.
Location. Before we sing this next song, though, I do want to give you just a tiny bit of background. If you've been hanging out in these parts, you probably heard, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
1, 2.
Right? Well, this song about, 15 years ago, I was wanting to be right. But I really wanted to be happy, and it took a while to get there, though. And in the midst of my conflict with this person, Miles and I wrote this song, and it has been kind of a touchstone for helping me go from right to happy, and it's called Quiet Mind.
We anchor on promises with expectations high, justify our own defenses and swallow our own lies. You can build a righteous wall that you hide behind, but turn away and it will fall in a quiet mind, a quiet mind. We're quick to sacrifice the peace just to prove we're right, and we gather our expertise, preparing for the fight. You can build a righteous wall that will leave you blind, but turn away and it will fall in a quiet mind, a quiet mind. Wisdom is waiting just beneath the noise. And when will you listen to this little voice? And we hold on to cynical views, keep the past alive, hold judgments right on cue, create the great divide. You can build a righteous wall and treat it as your shrine, but turn away and will fall in a quiet mind. A quiet mind. You can build a righteous wall and treat it as your shrine, but turn away and it will fall in a quiet mind. A quiet mind. A quiet mind. A quiet mind.
Beautiful song, a perfect song, sung amazingly, and a great reminder of who do we want to be, what kind of a walk do we want to walk. And there was a line that was something like, when will we listen to that inner voice? And it's very important to my talk today, so it was the perfect song. Thank you so very much. So last week, right, the first Sunday of the month, we began this conversation around work. And we talked about opening to the wonder of work as a spiritual practice. Now today, we're going to take a dive into who do we have to be and what do we have to do in order to create a life that matters. In a book called A Life at Work, the author Thomas More tells a story about a man named Mahud. Now, Mahud was a very simple man who lived in a small village and made his life by selling vegetables at a very busy market. He was content, he was comfortable, and he liked the work that he did. But one day, the angel Kabir appeared to him and told him to jump into the river. Without thinking about it, Mahud jumped into the flowing water. He was carried downstream until a man along the shore threw him a rope and drug him to the side to safety. The man offered Mahud a job in his fishing village and a small room in which he could live. So Mahud appreciated the man's kindness, and he took the job and he worked at it rather happily for over 3 years. Then Kabir appeared to him once more and told him that it was time to move on. So Mahud obeyed immediately and began walking from village to village to village until in one place a man offered him a job in his factory, his fabric shop. This was new to Mahud. He had never done anything like that, but he took the job and he learned the trade, and he worked there relatively happily until the angel appeared again and sent him on his way. Mahud worked at odd jobs this way, again moving, working, moving, working, moving, for years in this very same manner, always moving along when the angel instructed him to do so. When Mahud was an old man, he had gained the reputation of a holy man. People began coming to him with their illnesses and their concerns and their worries, begging him for cures and for counsel. Now, one day a visitor came into the village and asked him, Mahud, how did you get to where you are now? Mahad thought for a moment and he said, it's difficult to say. And it was difficult to say because Mahad's only talent was in his openness to the directives coming from Kabir. He had the ability to recognize the call to move on and the open-heartedness to be able to follow it. Now, this is a story about a call and about obedience. The root of obedience means listening. Listening. To find our way, we have to pay very close attention to that inner voice. And that might be telling us about when to change our job, when to get unstuck and to move on, or perhaps when to re-enter the flow of life, jump in the river. Or perhaps it might represent or tell us about retiring into a completely new life that the whole rest of his life had set him up for. The angel of the story represents something that is real for all of us. A sense of destiny, or of vocation, or of direction. Something that people talk to me about all of the time. This underlying question. The word vocation comes from the Latin word vox, which means voice. And I love how this kind of all comes together with the story, obedience to the call and listening to the voice. Now, there's some other very important ideas about vocation that I think are good for us to consider. Number one, vocation is something that arises from within. We all might have a very different idea about vocation that hopefully we're going to expand upon today. So vocation is something that arises from within. Parker Palmer says the deepest vocational question is not what ought I do with my life. It is the more elemental and demanding question, who am I? What is my nature? The idea of vocation is central to the belief that God has created each person with individualized gifts and talents oriented towards a specific purpose, towards a specific way of life. While it can vary from one faith tradition to another, vocation is often seen as God's call to engage in service and community. Number two, vocation is more than a career choice. People that write about vocation almost always speak about it as a call or a calling. But this call can be very wide in scope. Very wide in scope. A call could be a set of circumstances that arise. It could be a gut feeling that we have. It could be an aha moment that we experience. It could be some divine discontent that is telling us to move on. It could be a moment in which we recognize our limits or our abilities and get the understanding that perhaps we're not where we should be. Vocation in its broadest sense encompasses every role that a person has ever had in his or her life. Think about Mahad. Our vocation is created by the roles that we play and the actions that we take, which can range from a job or our family life, or perhaps being active in a community in a particular way, or even, if you can imagine, taking time for ourselves. Number three, vocations are all created equal and rooted in community. Every role, every job, every person is created equal, and each role has an equal spiritual or vocational value. There's not one that's any more important or any more significant than any other. They all matter. It takes a variety of people rooted in their callings and open to sharing them with others to create a vibrant community. Everyone is needed. Right? If we weren't needed, we wouldn't be here. Frederick Buechner defines vocation as the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. I love that. The place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. Perhaps you're in that space now. Perhaps you can think about what that would look like. Maybe you don't know how to get there, but you could think about it. The underlying truth is that the world's needs are many. However, we need to understand that it all begins within us and our willingness to let life speak to us. Each day is an opportunity to really embark on a personal journey to create a life of meaning. Now, this idea of wonder that we talked about last week, about being curious about who we are and why we are here, is all that is needed to discover what is within us. To discover what is within us in a way that life invites us to pour ourselves out into the world over and over and over again in a very unique and individualized way. Vocation is therefore listening to that voice of spirit. Listening to it and then allowing it to express in, through, and as us. Letting our life speak to us is about making room for, within our consciousness, for the signs and the messages that are all around us, and allowing those signs and messages to really lift us up. At its core, the vocation is not just a title or a job or a role or an occupation. It's not something out there on the horizon between now and not yet. It is the divine energy that is already and always at work within us. It is the divine invitation to step powerfully into creating a life that matters. The first part of doing so is that inner journey, that reverently listening for and to that inner voice of wisdom, that divine voice. This is who we have come here to be. This is our vocation. Initially, our vocation is an inward declaration of life and how we individually and collectively belong to the world. It is our yes, our powerful yes. The second thing that we're invited to do is an outward journey. As the author and minister Howard Thurman said, ask what makes you come alive and then do that. What the world needs is people who have come alive. So these are the essential elements that must be lived out loud. And we are being invited, each one of us individually, we are being invited to bring that out into the world. This is the moment that we allow our lives to speak for us, not just to us any longer, but actually for us. When our lives speak for us, they speak words of purpose and intention and wholeness, and that really brings us to the allness of who we came here to be. Letting our lives speak for us literally pours out the individualized expression of the divine within us out into the world. There's no more separation or living a life divided between one thing and another. We are living that aligned life. Speaking, allowing that speaking to move through us, that in that way that really makes us extraordinary, really allows the passion and the joy and the grace to pave a new way for ourselves. And not only for ourselves, but to beckon others beyond their weaknesses or beyond their limitations or beyond their mistakes, to become more and more of themselves. This too is our vocation, that outward expression of it, the creation of a life that matters. Now, I know that all of you like the practical side of life, so I have a few practical ideas to assist you in creating a life that matters. Number one, know and live by our core values. Navigating through the noise and the distractions and the challenges that are ever present in our life on the planet requires a deep commitment to our core values. The invitation is to be clear about the values that we want to be at the heart of our life and then to live those values. The invitation is to know who we are, what we stand for, and what we believe in. Many things in life will catch our eye, but only a few things will capture our heart. Number two, recognize signs of passion. The invitation here is to discover what matters to us, what lights our fire, what twirls our skirt. When we do something that we are passionate about, we lose track of the passage of time as we're doing it. Often it's something that we might even be willing to do for free just for the sake of doing it, just for the sake of bringing it to the world. The invitation is to find what we truly care about and then actually have the courage to do it. The invitation is to do what we love and to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the rest of it will take care of itself. Number three, don't rely on other people's approval. Creating a life that matters requires us to not rely on the approval of others to pursue our cause or to pursue our calling. The invitation is to become more emotionally committed to doing what we love rather than to having people love us. Number four, be yourself. Only we can do what we came here to do in the way that we came here to do it. If we are not ourselves, it will not get done. And as the Ancient One said to Dr. Strange, I talked about Dr. Strange last week, but as the Ancient One said to Dr. Strange, and the world will be all the worse for it. If you don't do it, the world will be all the worse for it. And number five, redefine success. The consideration here is to consider redefining our definition of success to include that which brings personal fulfillment, that which brings lasting relationships, and that which makes a difference in the world in which we live. Doesn't have to be grandiose. But my guess is that each and every single one of us has, in many times that we may not have ever even known, made a difference in someone's life. That's our vocation. The call of vocation is to speak a new life into being. Vocation is the thing that we must do when we recognize it. Once the noise of the world fades into the background, the voice of our lives can be made known, it can be revered, and it can finally take center stage with a spotlight of love shining on it. Living a life as a vocation is not something that occurs in the recesses of our minds. It is new life emerging from us. To speak a new life, we must be willing to engage wonder as a lens to determine how work can be meaningful and supportive spiritual practice. Creating a life that matters is the intersection of work and vocation, that deep gladness meeting the world's needs. It involves growth, maturation, deepening, and becoming ever more of our true selves, that self with a capital S. This new life is each and every single one of us, and becoming who we are is a life worth pursuing. It is a life that matters. Think about this question. Standing at the moment of transition, how will the value of our days be measured in that moment? My guess is that what will matter is not what we bought, but what we built. Not what we got, but what we gave. Not our success, but our significance. Not our competence, but our character. Not the moments we were right, but the moments that we filled with gratitude and forgiveness. What will matter is not our memories, but the memories that live in those who loved us. How many people, not how many people we knew, but how many people felt good when they were in our company, and how well we served them. What will matter is about what we learned as well as what we taught, about the moments that we truly listened as well as the moments in which we spoke, and about who we were being as well as what we did. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others to emulate our example. What will matter is how long we will be remembered, by whom, and for what. In an article called How to Live a Life That Matters No Matter What, the author Amy McTeer says, I'll sum it up with this, and I am going to sum it up in the same way. She says, first, let's get clear about why we're not here. Though we are here to get along, we're not here to go along. We're not here to blend in or disappear or to make decisions based on fear. We're not here to be invisible or miserable, inaudible or unseen, cogs in someone else's machine, whether corporate, culture, or anything in between. We're not here to live shallow, to swallow our voice, or to believe that following what matters to us most is not a choice. We did not come to live almost, to sing someone else's song or to take someone else's ride by suppressing the dreamer inside of us. We're not here to be careless, destructive, needy, to prolong suffering or increase the ranks of the greedy. We're not here to stand alone or to be chained, powerless, apathetic, or unable to change. We are here on a mission. We are here on duty. We are here for mastery, excellence, and beauty. We are here here to heal from our temporary amnesia and to remember our purpose as human beings, to assume our role in the universe's great one turning. We're here to take chances and claim what matters, to let inner vision inform decision, to fail, begin again, and revision. We're here to free the dreamer inside, to thrive, to rise, to collaborate, cooperate, and actualize. We're here to fill our own shoes, create the world that we would choose, and let the beauty that we love be what we do. What I want for each of us to know is that creating a world that matters does not happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. The invitation is for each of us to begin today to choose to create a life that matters, to listen to our inner voice, be obedient to our divine call, and to allow our vocation to pour out from within as we each, individually, in our own way, serve a world that works for everyone. And so it is. So I just invite everyone to close your outer eyes, to go within if that is comfortable for you, to turn away from this world of form and to turn our attention inward. That inner voice, that voice of wisdom, that call, that vocation. And to really consciously choose to align ourselves with it. To know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are connected in ways that can never be broken, that there is no duality save those moments when we forget, when we have that amnesia that doesn't allow us to remember who and what we are at our very core. And so in this moment, I claim for each of us ease and grace around remembering that truth about knowing who we are, about aligning with that divinity that is within each and every single one of us, and listening reverently for it. What is it trying to say to us? Listening. Listening. And then not only listening, but being obedient to that call. Like Mahad, just jumping into the river. Knowing that whatever we receive from a divine download will always be supported, will always be guided, that what we need along the way will always show up, the people, the resources, the money, the wisdom. But to just say yes, and in that yes, everything will fall into place. And not only will we let our life speak to us, but then we will let our life speak for us, through us, in this really wonderful and powerful vocation that we have stepped into. Not necessarily a job or a role or an occupation or a career choice, but something that is ours to bring to the world in our own unique and individualized way. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that each and every single one of us, because we are here, came with that. And all we need to do is listen for it. Be obedient to it, and do what is ours to do, knowing we will be supported. and that it will not only raise us up, but everyone around us, allowing them to also step into their highest and best self. I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that my words are clothed in form even as they are spoken. And so I speak them and I release them with love and gratitude and full expectation of their manifestation, letting go and letting God be God. I invite each of us to anchor this prayer for ourselves, for each other, for our community, and for the world, simply by saying, "And so it is. Amen." Amen. Thank you all so very much. It is now time for our conscious giving. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is sustained by the giving of our time, talent, and treasure. And this is the time every week when we offer financial support to assist this community to continue to be a beacon of light and love and warmth for in the Greater Triangle area. Together we affirm that this offering lifts this spiritual community, prospers the one giving, and adds to the energy of sufficiency on the planet. There are several ways that you can give, and they are here on the screen or on your screen at home. For number one, visit our website at trianglecsl.org. Number two, text the word give using the following number, 919-230-8445. Or you could mail your gift to the office at the address P.O. Box 4062, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. So in this moment, I just invite everyone, whether you're here or at home, to place your hand over your heart with a intention in your mind for yourself or for this community. And please say our offering affirmation in a call and response. I live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. I give with gratitude, knowing that God is my source. And so it is. Thank you all so very much. I now am going to just take a moment to do our July financials. We got a little bit behind because of leaving Sophie's and coming here, and just everything got a little bit behind. So what you can see on the slide is incoming during the month of July was $9,179.12. And outgoing was $11,464.53. This was a net income of minus $2,285.41. Now, I will tell you that the difference in that was basically because we needed things in order to leave Sophie's, things that we were using at Sophie's, like their speakers. We needed a new speaker and some other things that we needed for our move to this facility. So that was basically what the difference was. The bank balance as of the 31st of July was $71,525.18. So we are abundant, and I just thank everyone for your generosity and your love of this community. Thank you all so very much. And now it is my privilege to welcome back to the stage the awesome, the amazing Miles and Letha Costin.
Well, with this song, I always feel like we should be slogging around like steins of something. I don't know what. Aesop's, that's right. Aesop's Fable fans. Yeah. So there was our youngest daughter loved the song about the wind and the sun. I mean the story about the wind and the sun. So we ended up reading that a lot when she was little. And here's a song that's based on that fable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there is an old tale about the wind and the sun, where the wind wants to prove he's the stronger one. So he finds a lone traveler on a dirt road and says, "Watch, I'll make this guy take off his coat." The wind starts to blow and the coat starts to flap. The man fastens his buttons, arms tightly wrapped. The wind becomes fierce, it screams and it pounds, but the traveler just stops and holds close to the ground. The great winds of life, they come and they go, but the sun's always there to cast a warm glow. As we meet fellow travelers on the road that we're on, will we greet them with wind or greet them with sun? Well, the wind finally tires and turns to the sun. He said, "Here you try. He's a really tough one." Sun starts to shine, rays gently fall down. The traveler stands up and his coat hits the ground. Well, that made the wind angry, but the sun, he just smiled. "I did what I do every day of my life. No matter the course, if you'll only sit still, you don't have to use force when you've choice and free will." The great winds of life, they come and they go, but the sun's always there to cast a warm glow. As we meet fellow travelers along the road that we're on, will we greet them with wind or greet them with sun? There are so many lessons in these kinds of tales, like the wind could have won with a boat and a sail, but it's hard to think straight when you're trying to prove you're something you're not, 'cause you can't fake the truth. And as you travel through life, you just have to know when to wrap yourself tight and when to let go. Don't ever let the chance slip through your hands to bask in the warmth of a stranger or a friend.
The great winds of life, they come and they go, but the sun's always there to cast a warm glow.
As we meet fellow travelers on the road that we're on, will we greet them with wind or greet them with sun? One more time. The great winds of life, they come and they go, but the sun's always there to cast a warm glow. As we meet fellow travelers on the road that we're on, will we greet them with wind or greet them with sun?
That was wonderful. Say encore, encore. If you would like to dedicate a flower dedication to anyone for anything, please contact us or send an email to info@trianglecsl.org or to Reverend Dusty at dustyrippelmeyer@yahoo.com. If you would like prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org. And on the homepage, there is a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to the ministers and practitioners. We have a wonderful announcement to join the psychic therapist Vincent Jenna on Sunday, October 16th from 12ish to 2 for a discussion of his first book, The Secret That's Holding You Back. In the book, he explains the mechanisms and processes at work. Your brain has unconsciously created that block and even sabotages your efforts to create a meaningful life. The bottom line is you don't believe what you think you believe. Join him as he shares his insights following our service here at 4 Points by Sheridan, RDU, at 1200 Clarence Circle in Morrisville. Please don't forget to bring your copy of the book for Vinny to sign. And there will also be copies available for purchase. And then following that, we will be welcoming Reverend Andy Ross here on Sunday, October 23rd, after his talk from 12ish to 2 for a discussion of his new book entitled Creation. The second volume of his Theology for the Here and Now series is a meditation on God's creative process. What does God create? Why does God create? How does God create? What's the purpose of God's creation? Come and explore these questions and more. And don't forget to bring your copy of Andy's book for him to sign, and there will be copies available for purchase as well. Both of these events are just the beginning of the events that we will facilitate following our services on Sunday. There'll be time following the service as we restore the room and pack away our equipment for you to have your lunch. The suggestion is that you bring a bag lunch or run out to one of the restaurants in the area and get something to go. We'll set up a few tables to accommodate everyone, so we certainly hope you will join us for those. We're excited to have them. And now, in the comfort of your own home and here in the sanctuary, please stand for our September affirmations. This is a call and response, and I invite you to please say it with meaning and repeat after me. I am a spiritual being living out a spiritual experience in this world 24/7, 365.
I am a spiritual being living out a spiritual experience in this world 24/7, 365.
The work I do contains spiritual elements of meaning and meaningfulness, good and goodness.
The work I do contains spiritual elements of meaning and meaningfulness, good and goodness.
As an extension of my passion for the world, my work is about more than a result or outcome.
As an extension of my passion for the world, my work is about more than a result or an outcome.
I believe that the work of my soul is creating a life that matters. Therefore, each day is an opportunity to embark upon a personal journey to make meaning through my work.
I believe that the work of my soul is creating a life that matters. Therefore, each day is an opportunity to embark upon a personal journey to make meaning through my work.
Reverently listening for what it wishes for me to represent, I persevere with the strength of spirit.
Reverently listening for what it wishes for me to represent, I persevere with the strength of spirit.
The dream of God is awake and alive in me, and I say yes to bringing it to life through and as me.
The dream of God is awake and alive in me, and I say yes to bringing it to life through and as me.
And so it
And
is.
so it is.
Thank you. Please have a seat and turn within once again as I speak a word of benediction on today's wonderful service. Recognizing the one source, the one spirit back of all of creation. I know that spirit as the source of our heart's desires, as the source of that guiding light that allows us to journey down that path that is unique and our destiny, each of us individual in our individual journey to fulfill our heart's desire for that vocation, for that calling. I know that I am one with source, that I am one with that connection that allows me to listen to that still small voice, to be open to that soul's calling, and to feel that passion and that excitement for all the things that beckon me and allow me to hone in on those things that just enrich my life and are a blessing to the world. I'm so grateful for today's service, for each of you present in this now moment, and for each of you that will be listening in the future. I'm grateful for this opportunity to listen to Reverend Dusty's message and to let it sink in and to reflect on it during the week. Such an important part of our lives, the soul's calling. Such an important thing to ponder and to reflect on and to take to heart. The work that we do and the work that we love. I'm so grateful for these truths, and I ask you to anchor this with me with our words. And so it is.
And so it is. So if there's any grandparents in the sanctuary this morning that would like to take a flower or two home with you, please come up after and do that. I would now like to invite everyone to stand and do our closing congregational song. And I promise to try to stay in time with Cindy as she sings.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day. Thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you.
Lovely. Just a quick reminder that we are not here next week. We will be online only. So please join the crew that will be bringing that to you and support them from your own living rooms or kitchens. And thank you so very much for doing that. We'll see you back here on Sunday, the 25th. Have a great week. I love you all.